Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new, welcome. We're gonna get back into more Amber and Reed content. Except we're not. We're getting to Beck's video, which is way better. We're gonna be reacting to the new video that Beck has done with Jordy. So let's get into it and see what bullshit Amber has put Beck through, shall we?
Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be reacting to a Lordy is Jordy's Amberlynn and Beck Season 4 Q&A. I haven't watched this video beforehand, so this is going to be my first impression of it. Just like the Mr. Snowflake video, I'm going to be trying to answer as many questions as possible. But if there's anything I'm uncomfortable with, then I will skip over it and let you guys know.
Honestly, I understand and agree because there are so many people who ask the same questions and they're just pointless, nonsensical ones that have no real value to add to the conversation. Like, how many times do you need to know Amber smells like X? How many times do you need to know, last time Amber bathed or something like that? It's just, those are pointless questions that don't add anything to the conversation.
I want to thank Lordy is Jordy for getting these questions together and making this video for me to react to. I also wanted to let you guys know my last video on ghost stories is up, and I'd really appreciate it if you give it a watch.
I haven't watched it yet, but I do plan on it. I do enjoy watching those type of videos. Even if I don't believe in it, you can kind of suspend your reality in order to enjoy some good content, and Beck does a lot of editing, so hell yeah, I'm going to watch that soon.
Okay, so the first question is from someone named Raven Elise, and I actually wonder this as well. Amberlynn is immobile, or close to immobile, during the time that you spent with her during your season. Raven and I would like to know, what does Amberlynn do with all of her time?
This is something that you guys probably already know about her, but it depends on what she's into in the moment. Like, it could be reading and being on her computer for hours upon hours at a time. She would have so many tabs open, and it would just be like YouTube, shopping. She would have her personal journal that she would write in open. I don't know. Sometimes I didn't even know because I didn't even really see a lot of her computer.
To be honest, I can't really hate on Amber too much because I used to spend a lot of time at home playing video games and stuff because I didn't really like going out. And even though I have changed and I don't play video games as much now, I don't really feel like it's a necessary thing to hate people because there are some people who enjoy just staying home and doing the things that they do. That being said, there's a lot more to rag on Amber for, so like, don't worry about that.
Or her phone. She was also on her phone, but I was aware of the many different tabs that she was on, because another thing with Amber was no matter what she was doing or what we were doing, she could only handle it for so long, and then she would have to switch to something else. So if we were watching a movie or a TV show or something, we could only watch so much of it, and then she would pause it, and we'd have to do something else for a little while before we come back to it.
Oh, yeah, I got a couple of people like that in my life, and they drive me up the goddamn walls, and it's because I am the complete opposite. I have to finish one thing before I can start another, where they're like, no, we can do a bit of everything, and it's like, no, we can't do a bit of everything.
She also was really into puzzles and Legos and journaling. And one thing that took up a lot of time was this game that she would force me to play.
Oh, not the Choose a Game. I have heard so much about this in the past couple days. It is wild. And on the surface, it's not a bad game, but when you force other people to play it, it is a goddamn torture device.
Called Choosy, where she would take a bunch of like thousands of stickers, like she bought bulk stickers, and had me pick between them all the way down until I picked one single sticker to be the best sticker of all. And she made me do this with buttons and earrings, calendar pages. She would buy a bunch of small calendars and tear the pages out and then have me pick between the pictures down to which one I liked the most.
I do want to add though that like the Choosy game is a great way of being able to like pick what you want and what you don't want. So if you're a hoarder or someone who collects a lot of stuff but wants to narrow down your collection or clean up your mess, you can do that as a way of kind of figuring out the things that you do want to keep and the things that you don't want to keep. But to force someone else to do it is just weird. Like, it's a very weird thing to me. And with Amber, I remember her doing it with Crystal, but she would also do it with journals too. Like, she's done it recently where she's like, oh, I need a new journal. And she would force us to watch her pick between every single journal of which one she likes and which one she doesn't like. Like, dude, pick one and move on.
And Croc Charms. She would make me play choosy between Croc Charms. And she didn't even own a pair of Crocs. She just had thousands of Croc Charms for no reason.
I'm going to throw it out there. I think Crocs are overrated and ugly as hell. I don't know why anyone likes them. They're just god awful.
And sometimes, because there were so many, like with stickers and earrings, it would take hours and sometimes even days to completely get down to just one.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like, hell no. You have the patience of a goddamn saint, because I know for a fact, if she tried to force me to do that for a whole day, it would be a goddamn war. I am not even kidding. I will straight up break the Geneva Convention.
And another thing that would take up a lot of time is she would set a timer for 45 minutes to an hour, usually. And she would have me sit behind her and pretend to pick lint off of her back because she liked the way it felt and sounded.
Jesus goddamn Christ. Like, her entire personality is TikTok. It is straight up just TikTok.
Because of ASMR. And
I love the fact that Beck can laugh at the situation. Like, looking back, they're like, oh god, that was a horrible situation. But looking at it now, they're like just laughing about it. It is funny. It's just a hysterical thing because it is so goddamn stupid.
She would have me do this for so long that my arms and stuff would hurt. And whenever I would want to stop, she would sigh and just be like, well, I'm going to pause the timer. So she would pause the timer for my little break. And then I'd have to immediately go back to it. And she would unpause the timer again. Sometimes I would catch her not unpausing the timer because she would want me to do it for longer.
Making someone do something that they don't want to do is weird enough. And then you have timing it, which is even weird. But like, forcing someone to kind of touch you in ways that they don't really want to do it is just, I don't know, even in a non-sexual way, it comes off as just very creepy. Like, there's just like an ulterior motive or just a very just weird undertone to it. Like, does anyone else like think the exact same way as me? Like, it doesn't have to be sexual in order for it to just be really weird and really gross.
Next up, we have a question from Gracie. I don't know if that's a reference to a specific animal, but Gracie asked this question. Gracie wants to know, when did the relationship between you and Amberlynn go from bad to worse? I know that people tend to put on their best face when they first get into relationships and slowly leak out the toxicity as they get along. So at what point did you realize, oh God, I'm in too deep, or oh God, the honeymoon phase has definitely worn off?
In the beginning, things were all right, but there were some signs of her being controlling. Then it got worse whenever we moved in together. And then even worse whenever I quit my job and started taking care of her and quote unquote working for her full time. So I feel like that was when I definitely felt like I was too deep in to leave.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because no abusive person is going to go into a relationship going, hey, I'm a massive red flag. I'm going to abuse the shit out of you and you're going to be my victim. It's going to be a slow build up and it's not going to be like physical abuse immediately, but that's where it usually ends. And it's going to start off with like small little bits of mental and emotional abuse. And there's going to be, you know, poking and prodding, overstepping boundaries. There's going to be ultimatums and, you know, using your feelings towards them against you. And then it's going to start off with small physical things too, like it might be poking or pinching or prodding or jabbing, and then before you know it, it will lead up to smacking or a smack in the back of the head or like a close slap or something, and then it's not a close slap, an open slap or something. Then it's going to go to actual hitting or weapons. Like, it's just one of those situations where if you see a red flag and you have an uneasy feeling, don't ignore it, get the hell out.
Princessa would like to know, were there ever times during when you were in renal failure that you felt unsafe to drive, whether it be to how you felt from your condition or from being heavily medicated, that Amberlynn sort of pitched a bitch and demanded that you go get her fast food, went to Walmart, run her errands? Were there ever times where you felt this is not a good idea, but if I don't do it, it will unleash the beast, so I better do it?
Yeah, we don't even need to hear Beck's response. We know for a fact that is a yes. Like, it's not even a question.
As you guys know, at that time, I was heavily medicated and I should not have been on the road. And I put myself in danger and other people in danger. And I wish I could go back and tell myself it wasn't worth it to take those risks. I'm aware that I should not have been on the road during that time. But from what I remember, I didn't really feel like I was making a conscious decision. I just knew that I felt bad, but I wasn't sure what was causing it at the time. I was afraid to leave, but I was being pressured to take care of others, specifically Amber's needs.
You know, definitely, like, it is something where it's like, all right, you made a conscious decision to put other people in danger, and that is on Beck, but at the same time, Beck was in such a rock and hard place. Also, being medicated, it impairs your judgment, so being that messed up and that depressed, you're not going to be in the right state of mind, so, like, you can't place that completely on Beck. You can't say it's completely their fault for Amber being such a piece of shit.
Even though I know now that I had a choice, at the time I felt like I didn't, and I will always regret that.
Honestly, yeah, and I believe that's also part of the criticism too, like taking into account how they are as a person now and whether or not they show genuine remorse, and Beck is showing that. I believe them. And I can't really say the same for Amber because she has never shown that side of her to be truthful. She says it, but she doesn't show it, and she never actually changes as a person, which is part of the criticism and becoming a better person. If you want to feel remorse and you want to show that you have remorse, become a better person. Stop doing the things that you always do that make you a bad person, and people will see that.
Peyton Ford asks, how long was the mattress in the living room where you guys lived, and whose idea was it to put a mattress arbitrarily in the middle of a living room for Amberlynn to loiter on?
It was over a period of, I want to say, about 2 years. Whenever she would want to hang out in the living room, I would have to drag the mattress out. And when we were done hanging out, I would have to drag it back into the spare bedroom. It wasn't the bed that we slept on. It was my bed from before we were together, and it stayed in the spare bedroom. So it didn't stay in there all the time, but I did drag it back and forth for many days over the course of a few years. But it was all Amber's idea, and it was because she would get uncomfortable sitting on the couch because her ankles would swell, and it would just be more comfortable for her to be able to stretch her legs out. And there were also other reasons that I won't disclose.
Again, just patience of a saint, because I know after a while I would say, nope, this is how it's going to be. You're going to get on a diet and you're going to stick to that diet, because if you don't, your ass is sitting on the floor and not the couch.
Ryan Mars asks, was there ever a point during your relationship with Amberlynn when you guys were still going on double dates with Destiny and Dana that Destiny kind of tried to give you hints or kind of suggest to you that being in a relationship with Amber wasn't a good idea, or say something along the lines of encouraging you to get away from Amber?
No, she never really nudged me or tried to get me to do that or anything, but there were plenty of times where she would look at me and be like, I don't know how you put up with her. And they would also bicker and argue a lot when they would be around each other. It was just how their dynamic was too.
Yeah, no, that's kind of on Destiny for that. Like, giving clear warnings about why you broke up in the first place would be a no-brainer.
So there's a person that typically comes onto social media and creates a little bit of an uproar every so often by the name of Annie Doran. Would you mind discussing a little bit who Annie Doran is, your relation to Annie Doran, and any of the claims that Annie Doran has made that you are aware of?
So this is a question that I've wanted to address for a while, but I wasn't sure how to approach it. I do see her comments here and there, and it does make me uncomfortable to see her still talking about my mom. So Anne got a hold of my mom because my mom was selling wreaths that she made, and she asked Amber to advertise them on YouTube, and she did. So Anne got a hold of my mom and bought a wreath from her, and she just continued to talk to my mom after that as if she wanted to be friends with her. And my mom thought she really wanted to be friends, but the more she talked to her, the more my mom realized that Anne was only in for it for Amber. She was obsessed with Amber and she wanted to know everything about Amber. And
even as a reaction channel, I don't really understand the obsession, because I only see this as a form of entertainment. Like, it is drama to me. I enjoy it. That being said, I don't ever really think about them outside of the reaction. Like, the moment the video ends, I don't talk about Foodie Amber again. I just go about my day until the next day when I film something else. Like, that is my entire situation with Foodie and Amber. Like, it's out of my mind the moment I finish a recording. In fact, there have been a couple times where I've forgotten what I've said in the recording and I've had to recheck the video to make sure I don't say anything too spicy.
Because my mom and Amber weren't getting along at that point, my mom did say some things to Ann about Amber, which you guys had seen in that screenshot with those voice notes. But there were times that she would say negative things about me to my mom, and it felt like she was trying to come between me and my mom. And I don't mean things that were brought up on YouTube. I mean, there were random things that were just blatant lies. She lied a lot.
Yeah, no, like, absolutely not. Like, there are certain things in which I perceive as sacred and I would never cross a line. And, like, marriage being one of them, but a relationship between a mother and a child or a father and a child is another thing. Unless it is genuinely toxic and that person is in danger, that is the only reason why. Like, but to try and ruin a relationship between a mother and a child just to get some weird satisfaction or gratification from doing so is just, you're doing way too much for no reason at all.
And as for the things that I know she has said, the story about her being stuck in the shower and the fire department having to be called didn't happen. I don't know where she would have gotten that story. I know my mom definitely didn't say that. And as for Amber weighing 700 pounds, that also isn't true that I know of. The most that I was aware of her weighing was like 570 or 80 something. And after that, she just stopped weighing herself around me. So I really have no idea how much she ended up weighing, but I don't think it was 700 pounds, and I don't know where she would have got that information from.
I mean, I can't really speak on that because I have also said Amber is at 700 pounds. That being said, like, it is a joke. And even though it is a joke, I really shouldn't say it because it is technically a lie. And I will admit that. I will fully admit that. But at the same time, not a doubt in my mind that she has weighed 600 pounds at one point. So can you really just say 700 is too far off? Like, when you're supposed to be around 140, 150, probably a little bit less for Amber, but like 600, would an extra 100 pounds really matter at that point?
Was there ever a single lie that stuck out to you more than any of the others? Raven Elise would like to know. Was there anything that Amberlynn told her audience where you just thought to yourself, wow, I cannot believe that she is that confident lying about that?
Yeah, there were times whenever she would show in a what I ate in a day video. She
Damn, Beck is calling her out. Beck is going, you know you're a goddamn liar.
wouldn't exactly show everything that she ate. She would just show you guys what she thought was acceptable for you guys to see, and then just not even talk about the other things that she would eat.
Again, that's kind of another situation that everybody knows. It's kind of just like needing confirmation, but at the same time, like, at 500 pounds, you need to eat 5,000 to 6,000 calories in order to kind of maintain or gain weight. So for Amber to say like, well, I'm actually eating about 2,000 to 3,000 calories is it's bullshit. Not even close. Like, dude, throw another 2,000 or 3,000 on top of that and I'll believe ya.
So I was just always shocked that she really thought people would believe that. And I think you guys already know this, but there were many days that she would film lots of videos in one day, and she would switch her outfits to make it more convincing that it was different days. And she would also ask me to change my outfits to make it more convincing for those videos.
I mean, yeah, again, that makes sense because she did that for the Q&As, and it's like, why? Like, why even bother? And she even did that for, like, the vlog videos, too, where it's like, oh, I'm filming it for the same day, but I'm going to change my outfit whenever I film a clip. And it's like, if we know it's the same day, why would you change your clothes? It makes no sense.
Aisha asks if there were ever times where you would deliberately take longer during the errands that Amberlynn would send you on just so that you could have more time away from her.
I'm going to say no because obviously Amber would be timing Beck, but at the same time, I wish Beck had did that, like stayed out, got a coffee, got something to drink, just minded their own business for an hour or so, let Amber sweat it out for a bit. Probably wouldn't be able to afford it because, like Amber keeping them hostage financially.
Absolutely, yes, I would. I did it every single time.
You know what? I'm glad to be wrong. I am so happy to be wrong and hearing Beck say that. Like, oh yeah, every single time.
Every chance I got. That's also what I would do in the bathroom a lot. I would pretend to be using the bathroom for a long time, but I would really just be in there having my peace.
That is such a typical man thing to do.
So we have all been clued in on what really happened with Amber Lynn and the wiping situation. It was not just solely something that took place after her hysterectomy. There was a lot of upkeep on your end in terms of Amber Lynn's personal hygiene. What was Ricky and Eric's involvement in that, if anything? Did Eric and Ricky ever help wash? Did they ever help do anything? Or did they just kind of look at you and say, well, she's your girlfriend. That's your problem.
I mean, if it was me, I would take her outside and just blast her with a gurney. Like, if it's good enough for my car, it's good enough for her.
It was definitely the latter. They were just basically like, well, it's your girlfriend, your responsibility. You know, you really shouldn't have to be doing these things anyway. But of course, they weren't going to help, but understandably, and they should not have had to.
Oh, you know, like 100%. I don't like Eric or Ricky because I think they're both messy bitches, but at the same time, it's not their responsibility, and it was neither Beck's either. Like, they didn't have to do that. It's Amber's responsibility to wipe her own ass, and she refuses to lose the weight to do so.
The next question is, do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
Yes.
Or remember what exactly happened after the "is that my cereal" incident, when Amber Lynn approached you when you were sitting on the couch in the living room and said very kind of furiously, "What cereal is that?" And you covered for her by saying, "What's that over there?" And Amber Lynn stomped off.
I have heard about this so many times, yet I have never seen it. So is this going to be like some just MTV reality show bullshit?
They may be wondering, we have 6 people here. Why did you guys...
Huh?
Mate, straight up caught and can't even face the camera.
What is that over there?
Oh, honestly, like, Beck tried, but it wasn't happening. Like, not even a chance. Honestly, her laughing and walking out of the room just pissed me off.
Was there a follow-up to that? Were there ever moments where food aggression was very apparent with Amber Lynn?
I think we had recently discussed dieting and counting calories, and it was cereal that we had already had, and I didn't want it to go to waste, but I think it's because she was upset at the fact that we had talked about eating healthy and I was eating the Cocoa Puffs. But we all know that the diet was going to be over in a few hours anyway, because that's just how she was.
I mean, yeah, they both could have been on a diet, but at the same time, Beck was like half the size of Amber at the time, so like, what did that matter? And a couple bowls of cereal weren't really going to do that much damage if you cut calories elsewhere. Like, Amber is the last one who can really shit talk someone else in what they eat. Like,
So usually I would have been trying to take the diet seriously, but that day I just knew the diet wouldn't last and I ate the Cocoa Puffs. As for the food aggression, I feel like she did have some food aggression, but I don't really have any specific examples because I feel like I was spared from that because we had very different tastes in food and I just never really wanted to try what she had.
and have someone who is food aggressive but never run into it because you don't have the same taste of food, like obviously Beck just said. But at the same time, it could just be the fact that you have food and they don't. Like, you have something to eat, and even though they might not want it, you just have something that they don't have.
Could you tell us in your words what exactly happened with the Jonesy rings that you used to propose to Amber in the infamous video and the screenshots that followed along in what the community refers to as Ringgate?
So I did try to sell them on a Facebook marketplace, but no one wanted them. So Amber did catch wind of it and she wanted them back. I don't know what she wanted them back for. I guess maybe to try to sell herself, but I don't know. I ended up giving her one of them back and I lost the other one by the time I'd gotten the other one to her.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I don't think Beck would want to keep them, and Amber wasn't really going to keep them either, so I might as well get some money out of it, and if she couldn't, might as well just throw it away.
Strawberry Shortcake asks, if Amber Lynn admitted to free bleeding, were you also expected during your time with Amber to clean up after all human bodily functions?
Yeah, I knew about the free bleeding and I did have to sometimes clean up after it, but that's all I'll really say about that.
I can understand like some situations happening, like an accident or whatever, but like free bleeding for 2 years and making your partner clean that up every now and then, just absolutely not.
Anna Cottrell wants to ask if, and of course you don't have to disclose the answer to this, are there things that you are taking to the grave, so to speak, when it comes to Amber Lynn? Are there certain details or events that happened that no matter how juicy the drama or the ability for you to profit or get clout off of it or anything of the sort, are there things that happened in your relationship with Amber Lynn that you plan on never disclosing to the world?
Yes, there are some things that I do keep to myself just because they are embarrassing and wouldn't be very kind to share with the world. And though Amber has called me a liar and money hungry and has tried to embarrass me, my goal has never been to do those things to her. I only wanted to tell my story and to help her see that she needs to take some accountability.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like the questions that I do say that people repeat over and over again, because Beck has said that time and time again. I have information in which can embarrass her, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to do that. Like, why ask that same question over and over again? Like, they have said it time and time again.
Isabel Schumacher asks, during the transition between your season and Jade's season, season 5, was Jade kind to you? Did Jade kind of make the overlap in the relationship as easy and not awkward as possible? Did it kind of turn into Amber Lynn wanting you out of there and Jade in? Was it sort of like a 2 versus 1 situation, or did Jade remain neutral?
She was kind to my face, but I did find out later on from Eric and Ricky that she would talk about me behind my back. She didn't make it any easier or harder because I was already halfway out the door whenever she moved in.
Not to mention, like, how are you going to get into a relationship with someone who just broke up with their ex and is still living with them? Like, that is a big red flag for you as a person as well. And if you're willing to move in while their ex is also there, I don't know. Big yucks, mate.
Lori asks, was there ever an incident or a period of time where you considered calling a mobile crisis team or initiating a 5150 for Amber, maybe staging an intervention with people that were in her social circle? Did that ever strike your mind as something that might be a good idea?
I mean, honestly, like the 5150 would have been really good. Either that or gone to the local church and having Amber blessed and exorcised.
So I did not realize that you could do something like that. But I think if that were to have happened, she just would have cut everybody off and came back not changing a thing.
The mattress and litter box that you recently told us about being covered in piss and shit that no one was attending to regarding the pets that you came across, were you responsible for cleaning all of that up and throwing away the mattress? Were there times where you were throwing away mattresses or things that normally, if they were given ordinary maintenance, you would just kind of throw them away because they were beyond repair, or it was better to just buy a new one instead of clean it?
I was the one who eventually cleaned up the litter boxes. Some people may think that was the first sign to turn around and run, and I should have, but I felt bad for her. At the time, I thought she just needed help. And that was something that Amber could just physically not do, but that's not an excuse to put your animals through that. The bed was beyond saving, and Amber didn't know what to do with it, so she ended up just leaving it behind, which is unfair to the people who owned that apartment and had to dispose of it.
Alright, so like two things. One, Beck is absolutely right about being unfair, leaving it for the owner to have to clean up. Like, that is absolutely disgusting and just shows how shitty of a person Amber is. But two, I hate when people say that someone is physically, mentally, or emotionally unable to take care of children or animals. They are a responsibility. They are a privilege. You do not have a right to those things. If you're not able to take care of them, make sure that someone else can take care of them for you, or give them to someone else in which they are able to take care of them. It is not a goddamn right. It is a goddamn privilege. It is a goddamn responsibility. You do not have the right to own them.
The only other mattress that we had to get rid of was the one that we slept on for years, and we ended up burning it before we moved to Lexington.
Alyssa Faye asks, so there were times when you left for upwards of days for time to spend with your family and Amber was left alone at the house. What did you do in the event, or what did she do in the event that you weren't around?
There were a lot of things that she couldn't do without me, so that's why my time away from her or with my family was very limited, because she would try to take care of things on her own, but then she would text me and make me feel bad for not being there to help her do the things that she couldn't do without me. So she would do her best to not do those things that she needed help with while I was gone.
Yeah, because nothing screams romance as much as, oh, hey, baby, I know that you had a great time with your family members. Here's a list of chores for you to do.
Maggie G asks, what were Amber Lynn's thoughts about Michael B. Petty? And what I would like to add on to this is, would Amber Lynn look into reaction channels in regards to wanting to sue them or looking up information about them to anonymously spill tea about them?
Oh, 100%. If she could find dirt, she is spilling that dirt. That is gonna happen, like, without a doubt.
Would she deliberately create rumors about reaction channels to tarnish their image? Recently, it was disclosed to us by Amber Lynn's ex-friend Alexis that Amber Lynn paid for my information, and who knows what she would have done with it. Has she ever done anything, or that you know of during the time that you spent with her, that she kind of went after reaction channels in an unorthodox way?
I mean, honestly, I don't really have anything that's exposed worthy. Like, the most controversial thing that I've really done is date someone twice my age, but I mean, we're both consenting adults, and he was older than I was, so like, no big deal. That being said, I would rather date someone twice my age than try to date someone half my age.
So there were a lot of reaction channels that she couldn't stand. Like, she couldn't stand, oh, Lordy, it's Jordy. She couldn't stand Michael B. Petty. She completely got Kicking Geese taken down, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. She also completely hated CXNT and Charlie Gold. There were so many reaction channels that she just absolutely despised. And I don't know if she really like paid for the information or anything, but I do know that she was obsessively watching you guys and just seething with rage.
Honestly, like, yeah, that's just a given, because we're not over here kissing her ass, so of course she's going to be upset about it.
Magic Flower says that you recently disclosed to us that Amber Lynn kept you in the car and prevented you from breaking up with her. Was that a normal occurrence? Did that happen pretty frequently where she would tell you, no, you can't break up with me? Or was it just a handful of times that you can remember?
There were times that we would get into arguments and she would be like, you can't leave this room, or don't you dare walk out on me. But the car thing only happened one time. There were multiple other times I would try to leave her, but she would emotionally manipulate me into staying.
Again, like it's another one of those situations where Beck was always trying to get away, but Amber was going to kind of stop them and try to keep them in place, because I would assume at that point, Amber was in the worst position they had ever been in. So she was going to constantly have that mindset of, oh no, if the relationship breaks down, I have no one else. And then when they kind of found wifey, that was a hard reset on their ego. So now they were kind of like, oh, I could do so much better. But let's face it, Beck was honestly probably the best, if not the best partner you've ever had, Amber. So, you know, you really f***ed up with that one.
Katsuki's asks if you ever felt like a rebound for Amber or someone that she could use as bait to try to win Destiny back. Did you feel like Amber Lynn was just in a relationship with you so that she could have a partner to show Destiny that she could move on?
Honestly, I feel like every girlfriend she gets is a rebound for the previous one. But yes, I did think about that, especially in the beginning of the relationship.
Oh yeah, no, like 100. Amber has this mindset of giving people the privilege of dating her, and if you throw that back in her face, it's an insult. So definitely every single partner that she has had is kind of a rebound for the next one. Sorry, rebound for the previous one.
How did Amber Lynn really feel about Chantal, or Foodie Beauty? Did she have private opinions on Chantal, or did she like Chantal? Did she have nice things to say about Foodie Beauty?
Who in their right mind has anything nice to say about Foodie Beauty?
They were on again, off again friends. So, like, whenever they were friends, Amber really didn't care about her too much, didn't pay too much attention. But whenever they were arguing, Amber did talk bad about her like she does anybody else.
What a surprise that Amber would shit talk someone she doesn't like.
Knives Pilgrim asks if there are actually ways that she is misunderstood by the community or the internet as a whole. Are there things that the reaction channels or the community wildly get wrong, or the camera versus real life does not translate well? Are there things that really Amber Lynn should be given a little bit of a break on that you can think of?
No, I used to think that they were wrong, but definitely not now.
Just a hard no, like absolutely not. Go for the throat.
And Storm asks, how was Amber Lynn with her money? Does she have more put away than she leads on? Is she doing very well for herself? Do you think that it's absolutely ridiculous that you left the apartment with $100 to your name knowing how well Amber Lynn was doing?
She did make a ridiculous amount of money. I don't know about now, but when I was with her, she did not save it. She would spend it, and it would just be on whatever random things she wanted. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, and I don't want to keep harping on this, but it is ridiculous that I only had $100 to move out on, because I didn't get any of the money from the live streams that I participated in. But I am just grateful to be out of that situation and in a better one now.
I can understand not wanting to sound like a broken record, but at the same time, like, you are owed that money. You still have not been paid, so I completely understand if you want to bring it up again.
So that is the end of the Oh Lordy, It's Jordy Q&A video. I hope everyone enjoyed this video and made it to the end. And I want to thank Jordy again for setting this up and making this video for me to react to. I appreciate everyone who has been watching my channel, and I hope to see you all in the next one.
Alright guys, we have finished the entire video. I was going to break it up into 2 parts, but apparently not. We're going to just do one just long video, which is awesome. We got it over and done with, and we can move on to something else. But thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoy, and hopefully get to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.